Ashley, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that even though we're in consistent communication, it's very hard to get you onto a podcast, mate. I feel like I've done my life's work by getting you on, mate. I'm looking forward to the conversation. If anybody's listened to the podcast prior to this that I did with John, and they mention Ashley the Savage, this is Ashley the Savage. So that's kind of a bit of an introduction I'm going to give to you, mate. How would you introduce yourself to somebody who is business minded and knows nothing about who you are?
Good question. I would say that I'm an entrepreneur, someone who lives and breathes running businesses, building businesses. I guess kind of in that serial entrepreneur bracket. I obviously I'm an agency owner at the moment. I run a marketing agency. I coach and consult at the same time. And I've been doing it I've been running businesses for probably 10 years now, which I know I don't look like I'm old enough to be that long.
How old are you, mate?
I am 31. 31 at the moment.
Since 21, you've been running a business of some sort?
Yeah, absolutely. I started my first business by myself whilst I was working at a job, like full time for someone else, and it was of all things, it was a cleaning company. So kind of kicked that off whilst I was working like flat out for someone else in the hospitality world, and then built that up over the next sort of like 6 years. I think probably ran that business 6.5, maybe 7 years. Took that business to about sort of 1.2 million, which was a tough ride, like definitely a very like labor intensive service focused business, which taught me a lot. And then sort of came away from that, exited that business and went into kind of the world of online coaching with some group stuff. And then ultimately kind of made a pivot towards like the agency space because I wanted to be more hands-on with things. I wanted to be more in the process of getting our clients and building that sort of stuff. And that's kind of where I reside at the minute, man. So I mean that's 10 years of my life condensed down into 30 seconds for you. But
that's good. I asked that question because it gives me all the talking points for the show, mate. Like just straight away. So I think you made my life easier, mate. There's quite a lot that came up, and like we talk often. We talk every week, sometimes every day. And obviously I have a good understanding of you and what you're doing, but there's still some new stuff there. I'm like, I didn't know that. That's really cool. Your first thing, you started the cleaning business, young age, whilst working in the hospitality sector, which is not an easy industry to work in. Did that like scratch an itch for you by doing that and help you realize that like you want to work really hard all the time because that's something that you enjoy? Or did that kind of create that in you because you were forced to do that, or something completely different?
I think you're right. Like the hospitality industry is it's a brutal space generally to be in, right? Like it's long hours, it's hard work, it's generally sort of definitely an entry position, low paid, low skill sort of stuff. And it was literally a Saturday job for me. Like as I went into it, I for a very long time wanted to go join the military and be in the Royal Marines and do that sort of stuff. And got a Saturday job to make some money as a 17-year-old. And I was like, oh, cool, like there's this thing called money. And therefore started to want to work more hours and kind of go up through the ranks, as it were, I guess, in what it was that I was doing. And then by the age I was like 20, I was kind of running one location. And then the directors there were like, do you want to open a second one for us? Do you want to go and do this other thing? And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. It's like 21-year-old me was like, yeah, I'll go and open this business and be responsible for staff and stock and payroll and all these things. And I think it was that was like, I think I could do that. I think I could, I'm operating this business here, right? Like I'm doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff, the managing, even some of the marketing, like all that sort of stuff. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is actually where I want to be. And I don't want to do it for someone else. I want to do something myself. It's kind of that cliche of like, I want to be my own boss sort of thing, which as we all know that as business owners, like you're never your own boss. Yeah. Everyone else is your boss. But that's what it felt like in the beginning. So yeah, I think that was the thing that kind of like sparked it for me and was like, I'm going to start my own business. And then it was just a decision of what do I do? Which I think the answer to that was like, what can I start with low overhead? What can I get other people to do the delivery of? So I can, because I had bills to pay. So I didn't want to quit my job. So I kept working the job and started this thing and hired people to do the delivery of, and obviously then it sort of slowly transitioned. So I think, yeah, like it was a bit of both. It was, some of it was that like hard work element, like it was hard work, it was long hours. I was probably doing like 10-12 hour days for like other people before I started working on my business. But I think it was also just like a bit of eye-opening to go like, actually, I like the business element of this. It's not just like the hard work and the hands-on and the industry. It was the business element. Like, how do I get more people to walk through the front door? Like, how can we change the prices of what we do so we can actually make more money? How can I like structure the staff rotas so like we're getting the most out of stuff? And it was that sort of stuff that I was like, I enjoy that. And money as well. You know, like if I can do this for myself, there's probably some more money in it for me than getting paid a salary every month.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you had an introduction to that world at such a young age, and actually it tells me a lot about you based on what I already know about you, and I can see why. Because for context, you're the type of like entrepreneur in my circle that works long hours, often like forever, like up early, gym, work. You know, you're on the laptop like before people have even fallen out of bed. You're on it. You go to bed at a decent time. You have a pretty structured life that is so heavily focused on the goal that you're building. But you got an early introduction to that at the age of 20. But I think what's really fascinating that I don't know if you've ever recognized in yourself is you talked about wanting to join the Marines, which I assume is kind of linked to like the part of the country from where there's like loads of Marines running around like causing havoc and stuff. And to join the Marines or to join the military, you've got to have this, well, two things, I guess. Part of you wants to like get away from the life that you're currently living. That's usually one. And then the second one is you want to do something bigger than yourself, and you want to like commit to something. There's so much more than just getting up and doing a job. And I think it sounds to me like you had that at such a young age. And then rather than going into the Marines and the military and doing that, you realize you could make loads of money running a business, which I think is amazing. Something that really jumped out for me in what you said was from that young age, you wanted to make sure people were fulfilling on the thing that you were selling. That has always seemed to me quite an intelligent move that a lot of people don't do. Why did you want to do that at such a young age? Like, how did you know that was something you needed to do rather than you just delivering the work yourself at the beginning, like so many do?
I would love to give you like a super intelligent answer to that and put it down to business strategy and scaling and things like that. But what it really was at that point was I couldn't leave that job. I couldn't leave the job because I was making money. I bought a house fairly early, right? So like I had a mortgage and bills and bits and pieces. I haven't got any kids or anything, so like that has always been not a big thing like there. But it's that like I needed to continue to make the money that I was making, and I was still in that. I was still in the employee mindset. So it was like I need the money coming in every month. I hadn't made probably the mental jump to entrepreneurship like properly, and I think that's absolutely fine for everybody. Like at that early stage, like keep the job, keep making money, and just push a bit harder before work and after work. But that was what made me go like I need to get someone else to do it, because I wasn't going to go out and do the fulfillment. Not because I'm above it. Like I would have gone out and cleaned houses or hoovered floors or whatever, but it was more a case of I don't know if I can get enough business in for me to be able to pay my bills. So it was like if I structure it that way, it means I can keep doing the day job, and then the bit where other people spend the time to deliver the service, I can get other people to do. And yes, I'm going to make less money, as in back to me, because I've got staff to pay for and things like that, but it does keep me in a more secure position for longer. So that was the decision behind it. I mean, inadvertently, I had done the right thing, because if you want to build a business that you want to scale and grow and, actually get to a point where you're making a significant amount of money, like you can't be the bottleneck around that delivery. Right. So I think I got that. I think I did get the decision right, but yeah, I can't put it down to some business insight at that early stage.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's what you'd say, but I think it's fascinating. I think because I think a lot of business owners, at least those that I speak to, like overthink so much of everything, and they're like, I can't hire people to do this bit yet because we're not quite there. And I'm at the stage now where it's like I want to get everybody to do as much as humanly possible. Like I don't want to, sounds lazy, but like I don't want to do anything unless it's close to the money, right? Like it's whatever is the biggest, hairiest problem at that time that the business is facing. It feels like that's the thing that you should be working on. It's very hard to get there, but it feels like you got there at such a young age. But I guess something that kind of another question that sits alongside that stage of your life. Why a cleaning
I
business?
think it just ticked the boxes. I mean, there's several that could fit into the criteria of what I wanted to try and achieve, which was low overhead to start, other people who can do the fulfillment, and something that is scalable. And I always had that. I did have the insight, at least, to go like, I want to go into like a commercial route and work with other businesses because there's going to be more money in it. Like the contracts are going to be bigger, rather than cleaning people's houses and things like that for, at that time, £15 an hour, £16 an hour, which in this day and age obviously is like a lot more than that. But I wanted to go and target the contracts that were going to be 30, 50, 100 grand. And that was the mindset all the way through. Was really the point where I was able to leave my job, was like, okay, I need to figure out B2B sales. I need to go and find decision makers, get in front of these people. How do I do that? What's that sales process look like? And I figured that stuff out. And like the first proper contract we brought in, like we had bits and bobs, we had a like a little gym, and we had a little construction site, and we were doing some domestic bits and pieces and whatever, like enough to pay staff and kind of tick things over. But I think the first like contract we got was like 60 grand. And there's me as like 21-year-old me, like I've just signed a 60 grand contract. Like, first thing, like, how the fuck am I going to fulfill that? But like, two, it was like, there's legs to this, not just that business, but like me by myself have gone out, found the right types of people, established there's a need for something, like found the right person, taken them through a sales process and closed them on, a fairly decent sized deal to start with. And more than anything, it just gave me that like reinforcement that like, I might have something there. Like I might be able to do this. I might be able to build a business and sell something to people and eat what I kill. And, and that was really the thing that pulled me out of the employee mindset of like, I need to put in, X amount of hours a week to get this salary. And it's actually like, well, I could put in X amount of hours to go and finding another person and bringing in another X amount in revenue. And like, it might not be so secure if it's like 2.5 grand a month here, or like 60 grand contracts. Surely that's worth the risk and worth the time investment to go and do that.
I like that, mate. I like the experience that you've had at such a young age. I think you downplay the way that you analyze things and where you have done even from a young age. And like you've noticed like, oh, this thing's got legs and you can do such and such. Imagine prior to that, you probably had like a lot of doubt and you were like, fuck, like, and I don't know if you feel this now, and I'd love to know, because I still feel this from time to time where you sit and you're like, what the fuck am I even doing? Like, is this even a business? Like, what, am I even good enough? Like, is this even working? Like, why is it not where I want it to be? Even though it's 100 times better than you ever thought it could be? Like, these are quite, at least I'm probably like, need therapy at this point, because I'm just like spewing all my own like inner demons and stuff. But at least I hear that from other entrepreneurs that have similar conversations. Is that an inner conversation you have had or still have?
Yeah, I think every entrepreneur like has that thought process. Like, you'd be lying if you had never gone through that thought process in the business of like, what am I doing? Like, is this working? Am I on the right path? Like, let's face it, most of us probably have that thought every week, every day. Something doesn't work and you're like, shit, I'm building the wrong thing. I'm going in the wrong direction. Like, it's not working. It's not. And yeah, man, like I had that in that business. I have that now. I'll have that in the future. I think it's that thing of like goalposts changed, don't it? And like when you started your business, you were like, if I could just get to this number, or if I could just build this thing, or even if I could just be self-sufficient, like if I made enough money that I didn't have to work a job and go and do something I don't really like have that much passion for. If I could sit here and make the same money that I did in full-time employment and just work for myself, like that is the goal. That is the thing, right? And then you go and achieve that and you're like, yeah, but I'm not doing 10 grand a month. I must be failing. I must be doing something wrong. Like maybe I should switch or change, and and then you kind of like double down on that and you get to that 10. And there's no celebration to it. There's no like, I finally made it. I've finally cracked the code. You're like, I'm at 10 and it's still full of shit. There's problems, there's fires. I don't think this is the right thing for me. I don't like, there's that self-doubt like always. So I don't think it goes away, but I think you can manage it. I think you could acknowledge when you're going through that thought process, right? And if you can kind of be mindful enough and know that it's like a fleeting thought of of maybe it's like you haven't got the clarity that you need. Maybe it's just a big problem that you don't know how to solve yet. Maybe you're comparing yourself to someone else who's further ahead than you and normally been doing what you're doing for significantly longer. Like if you can just identify that that's always going to happen, and like you're just going through this process now, I think for me at least, like, I can take myself out of that relatively quickly and go like you felt like this on day one. You felt like this when you got to 10 grand a month. You felt like this when you got to 30 grand a month. You'll feel like this when you're doing £1 million a month. Like it will always be there. It doesn't like business is an infinite game, isn't it? Like, you know, you only lose if you quit, you give up. Right. So like by that thought process, you're always going to be thinking like, I need to do more. I need to get to the next thing. I need to, you know, whatever. And in doing that, in that same thought process is like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something different? Is there a better opportunity? I think it's just understanding, like, it's noticing when that thought comes to you and then being like, I'm probably on the right path if I just double down and stay focused.
I have a really interesting perspective on this that I think I identified like this morning because I was thinking about this. I was sat up last night and I was like, I'd been on like a group coaching call and, you know, part of a men's group. I was kind of like in the hot seat over the business, and they're like, you know, what's your biggest constraint? And I was like, it's me. And they're like, yeah, that's a shit answer. What is it really? And I'm like, I had to dig a little bit deeper into what it was. And it's almost always like a belief that you have around a certain thing. But I went like into a bit of a rabbit hole, and I was sat in the car this morning on the way to like get the head shave and get like a, you know, get the Starbucks and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was driving, I was like, how do you combat that feeling? Because you are going to have it all the time. And in my head, I was like, why don't you treat this like a game ever? Why don't you treat this as the opportunity that it is to get better and to face the challenges? Like a client's pissed off with something, you know, they're pissed off with one of your team members, or they're pissed off with the level of service, or the lead quality drops, or like something that like feels like it's the end of the world and it never is happens. Why are you not like, I don't like to use like terms like gamify, but why are you not like gamifying this as a thing? And it landed with me because I was like, well, I would actually just feel better inside and be able to combat these things better. And I'm like, what's the fucking worst that's going to happen? Me, from my own personal journey, like I nearly gave up everything last year and was like, let's go and get a job. And I was looking and I was applying for jobs, and then I was walking the dog and I was like, you're a pussy. Don't you fucking dare do that shit. And then I carried on, and then everything changed. And like, 3/4 times bigger than I've ever been in business from just not quitting, which is amazing. But like that gamification thing for me, at least now at this stage of my life, feels like it's the best way to combat that. But I'd love to know what it is for you, because you acknowledge it, you see it, you know it happens, you feel it every day. How do you move through that?
I think it's that. I think it's like there was a podcast I listened to, and I forget who it was, but like there was a quote that was said, and then it was like, ultimately, like, this too shall pass. And I think like that applies to everything, especially like in business. If you're on top of the world and like you've just signed the biggest client of your life and you're buzzing, like that will pass at some point and you'll be back into the norm. Right. And then on the other end of the spectrum, like you have the absolute worst thing that could happen to your business. Like, as long as you don't go out of business and you don't lose the game, and, you know, like all your clients are just in flames, like everything's going wrong, your team are leaving, you've got problems, like whatever, like to use the same phrase of like, this too shall pass, right? Like I'm gonna continue to do what I need to do, and I'm gonna get to it, and we're gonna get back to that medium, that middle. I think just sitting in that, and I think you like what you said there is actually kind of a way that I think about it in the same way of like, maybe not gamification, which I think is a fantastic way to look at it, but just understanding that like this is just a part of it. This is part of the journey. Like it's not all up and to the right? Like as much as Instagram loves to tell you that like it's all fucking Dubai and Lambos, like it's really not. Like 99.5% of the time is getting punched in the face and just having to fucking crack on with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
And just understanding like that's the game. Like if you're in it for just the good stuff, you're in a world of, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. That's not what it is, right? So like, I come back to that statement of like, this too shall pass. equally, like making sure that I am doing something about it to pass. Things don't just magically get better. But I think that's the way that I think about it. It's just like, this is just ebbs and flows of it, right? Like over the last probably week, maybe week and a half, like to get like a bit tactical around stuff with you. Like I've seen that we've had a bit of a drop off in terms of like lead quality. There's a few less sales calls booking in at the moment, right?
Same.
And straight away, like in my mind, well, one thing, like it's July, like obviously, right? But when it's happening to you, like irrationality sets in, doesn't it? It's like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. It's like, no, it's just fucking 32 degrees outside and everyone's gone on holiday, right? Like, but in that moment, you're like, what am I going to do? The pipeline's going to dry up. Like, what if I don't convert people? Like, business is going to dip, and then what? And and actually just going like, actually, this is just another one of those things. Like, this is just one of the things that you have to go through and figure out and solve and make work. Like, this is just I mean, it's not the worst place to be in the world, right? Like, still generating leads and booking calls and bringing on clients, but like, if it is a little downturn in things, like, okay, cool, like what do we do now to pull it back to where it needs to be? And I think it's important to understand when you are riding that high and when you are like down in that low, because making decisions at either end of that spectrum can really just fuck things up for you, because like you're making irrational decisions because you're in a kind of a spiral mentally about, this isn't working, or I've got these problems. And equally at the top of that roller coaster, like you make decisions up there, you're probably going to overspend on things. You're going to invest in things because you think you're Elon Musk all of a sudden. And actually, it's when you come to that like middle plateau of the mundane everyday, like that's where you need to make decisions, right? So if like you're in the spiral of things, be like, okay, cool, look, just give it a second, give it some space, like emotionally regulate, and then let's go and solve it.
I like that, mate. I like that a lot. I'd be really interested to know if you can remember the worst thing that's ever happened to you in business, or what, at least at the time. I can share a story at some point, but for you, what something you can look back and go, that honestly felt like my insides are being ripped out, and I thought, fuck this shit, I'm not going to do it anymore.
No, I've got a whole library of things to
pick one, mate. Pick any, mate.
I think one of the big things for me was, and it's going to sound like wild, but when I sold that first business, like that was such a difficult place, like a difficult transition to come away from it, because I'd grown it to a decent size. I decided that I wanted to go and do something else, and there were some options on the table for me, right? I like when you run a business like that, when I talk about like we were doing millions of pounds a year or whatever, such a overhead heavy type of business that like none of that drops through. None of that like really drops through to the bottom line. Although like, 1.2 sounds big, it's not big in the sense of like a facilities business, right? You're talking like big would be 10 million a year plus, right? And I just decided like I'd had enough and I was going to go do other things because I saw other opportunity. So I sold the business, but what I had done as a part of that, in terms of growing that company, I had a factoring facility, right? So in case people don't know what that is, like essentially you go to the bank and you say, well, I invoice these clients and their payment terms are 30 days or 60 days, but I've got, staff to pay and whatever. So the bank gives you the money. So you invoice 100 grand, the bank will give you that 100 grand, and then those clients pay back the bank essentially, right? And they take money off. And I remember I sold the business, but all of that was personally guaranteed. And we had a debtor list of about 350 grand. And I remember the bank called me and they were like, how do you want to settle the balance? How do you want to, tie things up? And I was like, heart in mouth, kind of like, my life is over. Like, what am I going to do? Like I think that was the most fear I've ever had in a business situation, like ever. Because I was like, this now lies on me. And the way that I went about sort of like solving that was, obviously that money was still owed by clients. So we went on a collection spree, making sure everything was paid and tied up. But it was such a scary place. Like I had letters from the bank that were like, you owe this money. And obviously like I'd sold the business, but by the time everything had come out in the wash and tax and this and that, like you don't end up with anything like significant on a business of that size. What I did potentially have was a massive money guaranteed debt to sort out, which I did. Like we collected everything in, we got it sorted, we got it squared away, but it was at a time where we just bought a new house, and obviously I'd stepped away from my income, like I'd sold the business, because selling a business sounds great until you realize that all your cash flow disappears with it. That monthly amount that you pay yourself and pull out of the business, like that goes. You've just sold the asset, right? So yeah, that was a difficult place to be, but we got it sorted. It took me 2 or 3 months to iron everything out, and we got it sorted, and I was able to sort of like crack on and do other bits and pieces that I wanted to. But yeah, that was probably the biggest, like, as you asked that question and I was kind of sifting through problems and issues in businesses, I think that was the biggest shit moment that I've ever had.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one, mate. Because when it's up to you and not the business to like solve, you're like, fuck, I've got no protection at all, like in any way, shape, or form. And then you're like, shit, I need to think on my feet. And you obviously done the right thing to solve that problem. It kind of leads me to this question, which I don't think I've ever asked you, but like, do you regret selling the business?
No. And I think I said that answer quite quickly and with a lot of certainty. It was a very intense thing to run. Lots of staff, lots of clients, lots of pressure, high overheads, like managers to manage. Like there was a lot to it. I think in hindsight, I definitely would have done things differently. Like, but I say that now with the business knowledge that I have now. So like coming away from that and working with other businesses, doing a lot of marketing, like learning more about marketing and sales as a whole, I would have done things like very differently in hindsight. And if I had have done, maybe my answer would be different. But at the time, no, I don't think it was the right time for me. It was the right time to kind of step away, do something different. I was more excited about working with other businesses, marketing, like those sorts of things excited me in the business. So yeah, I think I made the right decision at the right time, to be honest.
What excites you about that? Like, because you went from like building what people outside would be like, oh wow, at such a young age you built this £1 million business. It sounds fucking awesome, until you're in it and you're like, it's hell on earth. What are you talking about? You obviously kind of you solve the problem of lead gen yourself, and you're like, okay, this is like, I'm good at this. It's quite easy to me. I know how to do it. You decide like, I'm going to help other businesses do it. Like, what initially excited you about doing it with other businesses?
I love that process of taking someone who doesn't know you but has a problem and bringing them all the way through that process to them having enough like trust and commitment to wanting to solve this problem, like to part with money and bring them on board. Like I'm quite like an analytical person. I love to look at like data and numbers and things like that, and marketing and sales take the creativity off of the front end. But like that funnel process, like that sales process is all data driven. I just love understanding that and like what makes that person, what makes this like living, breathing person from a psychology point of view, like go through that process to pay for something. Like I've always been fascinated with that. So I think that's what it was. It's the oxygen of the business. I fit into that like visionary category. Like I love to build things. I love to see where we can take things. But operations, delivery, like managing doesn't excite me. Needs to be done, doesn't excite me. That would be definitely the first thing that in any business I would bring someone in significantly better than me to help with or deal with. But I think that like marketing and sales element of the business like needs to be changed so frequently, needs to be tweaked and improved, and like it satisfies that like visionary element in me. But yeah, it's always attracted me. It's always been something that I'm like obsessed with.
Still excited about doing it now? Like you wake up and you're like, I fucking love this shit.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I wake up in the morning, jump into my ad account, look at the numbers, go through things, like track the thing. Like on a Friday morning, all of the numbers pull through into a dashboard for me. And this is like not just marketing numbers, but sales numbers, all of the data in between. Like I love a Friday morning where I can sit there and like the automation runs, it pulls it through, like here's all the stuff from the week, and I can just sit and analyze it. And be like, okay, cool. Like, so our show up rate is actually dropped this week. Like, why is that? What do we need to do? Like, what are the things that we can change in the process? Like, are we doing this right? Should we change that? Like, is there another video we can add into, whatever it might be? Like, yeah, that shit fires me up.
I love it. It's like being a tinkerer. You see sometimes micro, but sometimes macro opportunities to improve an area of what you do, but also sometimes like just look and go, it's the summer holidays. Lead quality is going to drop. So we're just going to maintain until But then also being like, next year in May, June time, we're going to front load as much as possible, maybe put some offers out to get more people in so you get through that period. Because like for us in the e-com space, Black Friday is the perfect opportunity to bring clients in because they haven't thought about their Black Friday strategy at all. And you're telling them like, dude, you're going to miss out on fucking hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Then coming up to Christmas, it's impossible to like get people. Well, it's not possible, but it's very difficult to do. So it's really fascinating that you love that tinkering and the visionary side of things. And I can see more of myself in that. When you talk about it, I'm like, I don't want to get in, and I've done it for years and I do it subconsciously a lot of the time. You get stuck in the weeds of doing stuff. And then it's only when you look and go, I've just spent 3 hours on this thing. Somebody else should be doing this, not me. Like, why the fuck am I doing it? It's fascinating as well that you like get up early and you're like, let's get these numbers. Let's like look at this dashboard. Let's see what happens. Like, get a bit of caffeine on board. Maybe, I've done the gym, whatever, sit down, cracking knuckles, and you're like, okay, let's have a look. And you're like, okay, it's time to thrive. I think a lot of business owners fucking hate that shit. And that gives you in the industry you're in right now to do really well at. Would you say that's true or kind of true or like not true at all?
Yes, to a degree. Like I think that a lot of business owners don't understand a lot of the metrics and kind of bury their head in the sand a little bit with why isn't marketing working? Why are we not converting how we should be? And they like in the peripheral, you kind of know that there's so much to it that goes on that it's kind of like I hate it because I know that there's a lot that goes on there. Maybe it gives me an edge. Maybe it doesn't. I think that what you say though is right. Like in the sense of if you do get bogged down with like the tinkering too much and you don't look at growing the business and bringing other people in to do it, like you're going to get stuck there. You're definitely going to just get stuck with how far you can grow your business. Like it's very easy as a business owner to outsource or delegate or bring in people to deal with like low level work, especially in the realm of like AI now these days. Like you could automate 50% of the low level stuff in the business, right? The admin, the emails, the like all that sort of stuff, easy to do. Harder to delegate out things like marketing and sales, right? And I think that as much as I say like I love doing that sort of stuff, I think it also ties my hands a little bit sometimes because I struggle to then go like, how do I get someone to think like I do about this thing? And, naturally, as we would all say, like, oh, well, no one's as good as me as doing this thing. Like, and actually trying to get yourself to a place of like, actually, there's people out there who are significantly better at you in doing this thing. Like, it's either, do you want to be the marketer or like, do you want to be the business owner? And for me, I'm like, yeah, I want to be the business owner. I want to grow this thing to however much I possibly can. Right? But then kind of then stepping back and going, then you need to bring the right type of people. I think that knowing those numbers and understanding how to like market and sell and grow a business is nearly the most important thing in a business, like that you can know as a business owner. And if you asked me probably 6 to 9 months ago, I would say that was like at the tippy top of like, you need to be able to market and sell as a business owner in very business. I think that the skill above that is how do I find people to do that for me at a level that is above me? But yeah, I think it's a pro and a con. Like to answer your question, I think it does give me an edge because I enjoy it and I understand it and I can make decisions based off of it. But I think as a negative, sometimes it keeps me stuck because I'm spending my time doing that. Whereas I don't have people in my business who can do that. I'm not doing all of this for all of our clients and that sort of stuff. But yeah, like I think on the negative side, it can bog you down in the numbers too much.
There's something that I think you kind of like just reaffirmed in my brain about a belief I have, which is I think generally speaking, most business owners don't know enough and don't want to know enough about the client acquisition side of the business, like how to run ads effectively, where to spend the money, how much to spend, what success looks like. And I feel like if you go into those businesses and one, you can change their belief about them knowing that, and then two, helping them know that they would probably be a lot happier and run businesses better because they don't necessarily have to do it. They can find somebody to do it. But I think to try and make it easier to digest what I'm kind of waffling on about is like, I think most business owners just have a huge reluctance to do lead generation properly. So the very first thing they do is like, who can I outsource it to? And then they have such an expectation that they're never fucking happy. when you try and deliver that as a service.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you got as an answer. I think that because a lot of business owners don't understand it, they do try and outsource it. And obviously there's a number of, like, we hear it all the time. Like, I've been burnt by an agency. I've worked with like 3 people now, and like they all haven't done the thing. Like, and I think I don't put the blame on necessarily the business owners and not necessarily the agency owners. Like, I think that it's kind of a split, right? Because the business owner typically, because they don't understand it, only can judge by like the end result. And don't get me wrong, like if you're going to pay someone to do something, like you want a result from it. Typically, the people who have the business owners who have a hard time outsourcing it are also trying to outsource it for as little money as they possibly can, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to that triangle of like good, cheap, fast. Like, what do you want? You can only have 2. But then on the agency owner side, like, you know, a lot of people will say a lot of things just to bring in an extra retainer or 2, right? Like, without actually like walking their client and business owners through the process and educating people in the sense of like, this is what we need to do. This is how it's going to generate that result. This is how that result translates through to the sales process. Like, there's so much to it. So much to it. And yeah, I do think if you have a better understanding of what goes into it, not only do I think like your expectation of it will be better, but I do think you'll get better results because you understand that there's a whole ecosystem, right? It's not just we'll run some ads and we'll get some leads. It's like, what does the ecosystem of your business look like? Like, what's the positioning? What's the messaging of the ads? Have we tested messaging? Like, are we targeting these people or these people? Like, what happens when they come through? There's so many steps to it. And obviously, if you're going to outsource it to someone, you shouldn't need to know, inside of everything. But to understand, like, there's a process and like, these are the things that we want to test, figure out, understand. And that might take you a bit of time and a bit of money, right? It might cost you a couple grand just to figure out like, people resonate with this message. Like, this is the thing that gets us the good leads, right? Good example of this. Recently, I'm a big proponent of guarantees and things like that. But I thought from a testing point of view, I wasn't giving it enough, like, I wasn't testing it at all, right? So I built in a bit of a guarantee around what it is that we would deliver. And we were getting leads from it. We were getting plenty of leads from it, but they were the wrong fit, right? Now, there's many things I could say about that, but the big takeaway there is like, it's a messaging issue. So like, the messaging was wrong. What I was saying to people was like, we're going to guarantee a result, and if it doesn't work, then you haven't got to pay for it. Right. Which I don't really like that angle anyway. But again, like, I'll let the market tell me what they like and they don't like. I'll let the data do the talking. So we ran that, and they were just terrible leads. They were terrible fit clients for what we do. Now, if you don't know enough about marketing, you would look at that and chalk that up and say, well, ads don't work for me. Facebook doesn't work for me. Right. And it's like, no, like, the messaging was just wrong. Right. If I ran an ad and I was like, you can come and work with me, it's going to cost you a fuckload of money, but we're going to get it right. Like, that's going to generate a different person. Then we'll give it a bash, and if it doesn't work, I'll refund you, right? So like, sorry, I'm kind of like off on a tangent there, but it goes back to what you're saying, right? Like, if you're a business owner and you don't understand it all, you're going to have a tough time. You're going to have a tough time to understand how you're going to get those results.
No, I think I don't think you went off on that much of a tangent, actually, mate. I think this topic really intrigues me a lot, especially because I've been running ads for most of this year for the business, and it's been the single best thing I've ever done in business is like put money to use to get the right people to raise their hand and say, hey, I need help. Honestly, the single biggest fucking best thing I've ever done. Does it mean I'll do other, never run other channels? No, I'll probably run other channels at some point. But I think the question that sits with me a lot is like, why, and this might be completely wrong, it might just be purely my own perspective, but why do so many business owners not attach enough importance to this side of the business and have enough of an understanding that there's a lot to it and it takes time and you have to be good at it and you can't ignore it and you can't be lazy about it and you can't just be like, and I've heard this a lot when I've worked with other business owners and like shared our knowledge on ads and shared ideas and had conversations. Almost all of them just quit really quickly. Oh, it's not working. It's like, it's not going to fucking work. You've spent 300 quid. You've had a few conversations, haven't followed up with your leads properly. You haven't done all these things that you need to do because you don't want to do them. But if you don't do them, you're not going to win. Winners do these things. So I think like a lot of business owners that I speak to, there's just a huge reluctance to do the things that need to be done to win. And I'm like, I wish I knew what I know about ads 2-3 years ago, because I'd be rich as fuck now. I would be so fucking wealthy now. Like if I'd experienced what I've experienced this year, 2 to 3 years ago, I can't wait to see where I am in 3 years' time because of like the amount of emphasis I put on getting this part of business right. And it probably sounds like I'm talking from the top of a mountain. I'm not, but I get really passionate about it because I hate to see people make excuses for their own failures. So
I think it's hard work, mate. I think finding people who don't know you and getting them to a point where they believe that you can get them the result that they want, whether that's getting in shape, getting them clients, winning a court case for them, sorting out their account, like whatever it is that you actually do, like taking someone who has no fucking clue what it is that you do and getting them to a point where they're ready to give you money, like cold, hard earned cash for you to do something for them or your business to do something for them is hard. Like it's so difficult. It's like arguably outside of like managing people, like probably the hardest thing in the business. And I think that people come into it expecting it to be easy and they probably hit the first hurdle or the second hurdle. And because it's easier to say this doesn't work or this doesn't work for me because I'm a special snowflake, it's easier just to say like, it's easier to say that than go, okay, why is it currently not working? Let's fix it. Right. And you'll fix that hurdle 2 and then you'll hit hurdle 3 and you have to fix that and then hurdle 4 and then you fix that and then hurdle 5. Like it's a whole thing. Like it's a whole process that you've got to go through and it's really, really difficult. And the more of it you do, the better at it that you get and the more you understand. You know, once you're doing it for a living, you understand that why are we not converting? Well, it's because this metric dropped. Okay, how do I fix that? Well, I know I do this. Cool. And then this one should go up. But that takes a long time because it takes a very long time to understand and figure that out. And I think most business owners, as they step into the world of marketing and paid advertisement, like they realize that this is difficult and it's just easier to blame externally, isn't it? Than rather than go like, hey, fucking you do that, you're like, this is a me problem, like not a platform problem or a this problem, or maybe it's me or my offer or my service or my like, you would be significantly more successful at getting clients.
Absolutely. I told you this call, mate, would like fucking fly by. We're nearly the hour already. I'm going to have to wrap up soon, which hurts my soul. We'll have a couple of sort of quick fire questions of things that like I selfishly want to learn from you, which I think other people will want to learn as well. When it comes to lead gen for your business, so getting more clients, and more better clients, whatever you want to call it, right? You're running ads. What are the common mistakes that you see people make over and over again that you like has you screaming into your pillow at night like, the fuck are you doing? Is there anything like, there's got to be some, and maybe not to the extent of like screaming into a pillow, like, you know, drama queen, but what's some mistakes that you see that you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
I think there's 2 big ones. The first one and the easy one to fix is creative. So either shit creative or just not enough, right?
Okay.
That's an easy fix. And I guess I'm saying shit creative and that's very subjective. But if you're not getting leads, like it's because your creative sucks or you're not putting out enough of it. There's not enough volume of creative. And not just like, I'll just chuck 100 creatives out there and hope one works. It's like, I'll put out 20 and next week I'll do another 20 and then another 20 and then like, there's that. The other side of that is people judge the success of their campaign on their cost per lead rather than their CAC. So I don't care how much I pay for a lead if my CAC is good. My client acquisition cost is good and I make significantly more money on a client than I do to acquire a client. Happy days. The ads are working. Whereas people go like, well, we're paying £100 a lead. It's like, yeah, and you sign every 1 in 2, like, and you sell them a £5,000 thing. Like, don't be a retard. Like, so they're the 2 big things: not enough creative or bad creative, and judging the success on cost per lead instead of how much you.
Makes sense. When you think about the amount of creative you should put out, is there a formula you use? Let's say you're spending £100 a day, which is £700 a week. I want to put this fit in nicely with the amount I spend. Is there a formula for that? Or is it what you figure out based on what's working and what's not?
I don't think there's a formula. I don't think it's like, it's not bracketed in the sense of like, this spend is this much creative and this spend is, and maybe if I actually go back and look at that, maybe there is a rule that I subconsciously stick to. If you were spending £100 a day, like I would be thinking about like 10 to 15 new creatives a week. That's the kind of like level that I would want to be pushing it out at. And then you have to make a decision about what new creative, because it's not just random new stuff that you want to test. It's looking at it and going like, these are my best performers. This is the best format. Let's do more of that.
So £100 a day, 10 to 15 a week is like the mark where you're like, I feel like that's a good amount to put out. That's interesting. That tells me I've been doing a lot less creative refresh than I should be doing it on my ads, mate, which like I said, I was going to ask some selfish questions here, mate. Interesting. That's the biggest challenge. Where do you feel is the greatest opportunity, industry specific, for people to run ads? And when I say that, I guess the way I would measure it is like to, so lifetime value. Like, where do you feel is the greatest untapped opportunity right now for a business? Is it like, it's left my mind, conservatory companies, like people that build conservatories? Is it cleaning companies? Is it, it's not going to be AI, but is it like, is it plumbers? Is there like a niche in industry where you're like, these guys should be fucking running far more ads than they're doing right now?
Don't think there's like a specific industry that I'm like, this is blowing up. But I think as a rule of thumb, like as anything, like if you have got a high ticket service or product and it's something that is fairly, like you haven't got to explain what it is, right? Like, for example, if I wanted to get herringbone flooring in my lounge and hallway and whatever, right? Like I haven't really got to explain that to people. I'm like, this is nice flooring, costs a bit of money, but it looks beautiful and it's quite in fashion at the moment. Like you are going to charge thousands of pounds for that and you can acquire leads fairly cheaply, right? Now, of course, there's overhead and there's whatever, and that then comes down to like business operations and how you position things. But it's those types of businesses that are like super interesting because leads are not that expensive. And you're charging thousands of pounds. Whereas on the flip side of that, if you're trying to sell something like really low ticket and it needs, like, it's a new thing, it's something that's not that common, there's not a big TAM for it, total addressable market for it, like, you're going to have a rough time.
I guess it's also like, people don't like to use the word like saturated markets, but there is the reality that there's certain spaces where there's so much competition that it's harder to sell at the price that you want to sell. For example, if I look at e-commerce, for example, there's like a fucking bazillion Facebook ads agencies out there, and most of them are shit. There's a bazillion fucking email marketing agencies like us out there, and most of them shit. But for at least from a business standpoint, the customer that we look at, they can, if you can't educate them correctly in an early stage, they can basically be like, yeah, but I can just get the same as you're doing for a third of the price from this other person over here. Whereas what you're talking about, it's like, well, it feels, and I kind of want to be proven wrong, it feels like it's easier to have a USP in industries like that. It's easier to be like, this is what we offer, this is what we do, this is why we're different. We'll turn up on time, we'll tidy up after ourselves, and we'll fit it within 22 seconds or whatever. Like, and this is naivety on my part, but it feels like it would be easier to sell in that industry.
Yes and no. I think, like, I never like to use the word easy in business because
nothing's easy.
Everything is being punched in the face, right? Like, and you would go like, well, I'll just go build what example I did? I'll go start a flooring company, and 2 weeks in, you'll be like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I wish I could sit on my laptop at home all day and work, like, so I think there's swings and roundabouts, man. But
100%.
I think what you're saying there in terms of like the space that we typically are in, like online businesses as a whole, like whether that's email agency, ads agency, whatever, like I think the problem most people fit into is like they struggle to get clients because they're selling apples to apples. Like if I go, here's two identical apples, this one's £5 and this one's £1, they're the same. You'll go like, oh, I'll have the £1 one then, obviously, right? Whereas like you need to sell apples. It needs to be an apples to oranges comparison. You're like, this apple's £5 and this orange is significantly better or different. I can't really think of a good example with an apple or orange, but you understand the point, right? Like you effectively sell the same thing, but you're selling probably a different outcome or in a different model or with different benefits. If you can't think of anything at all, then it's an avatar thing, like change the person you're selling to. And we've kind of spoken about this before, but rather than like yourself, for example, like rather than do you run an e-com business, it's like, do you do more than 250 grand a month in your e-com business? Like, because there's different needs. Like
there is.
The run of the mill e-com agency won't be able to service the needs of this business because there's different things that require different skill levels and knowledge. And then all of a sudden, by default, you're selling apples to oranges, or you're comparing apples to oranges. So
yeah, I like that.
If you can't do that directly, then change who you're going after.
Love that. I love that, mate. I'm going to have one more question to ask, and then we're going to have to wrap it, mate. I'm going to make a promise to you that we go and do an in-person podcast. We do 3 hours. We have a great scene, and we just like chop it up, and I think it'll be great. But
I fucking love it.
the last question I kind of want to ask, it kind of sits to me, and I really want to know, like, your unfiltered opinion. What's a common opinion you see shared online about business that you just wish people would stop spouting out into the world?
If we're talking about like online and like social media, I just think that and I appreciate it's just used as a selling point and a way to get people into funnels and whatever, but people who spout that business is easy and you're going to get 10 or 20 grand a month in no time at all, and like it's just straightforward, it's just utter shit. Like, it's utter bullshit. Like, can you do all those things? Yes, but it's hard. You have to work at it for a long time. You have to do enough reps to be good at the thing that you're actually doing. It's lonely. It's difficult. It's like, it's not a breeze. Like, and I think people, and again, normally it's the typical fucking course seller dog shit that like, it's like, you can do this thing if you invest in this course or whatever. But like, I just see that like general consensus, and it pisses me off, because if you want to do something that is extraordinary, which by default means not normal, not ordinary, like you're going to have to put in a not normal and extraordinary amount of work and effort and everything else that comes with it.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's the one thing. That's the thing that like fucking grinds my gears. Can you do it? Can you build a business? Can you get yourself to a decent like level? Of course you can. Like, as long as you're switched on, you're ready to work hard. Like, yes, anyone can do that, but it's not walking the park.
Yeah, I like that. I think for me, it's something I try and share with anybody I speak to, is like, look, especially those who haven't started a business, and I have a lot more empathy these days for those people who want to start a business but haven't. I used to have like none. I'd be like, you're just a weak bitch. Whereas now I'm like, you're kind of right to be apprehensive, because it is fucking hard. And trying to sell this like, oh, it's easy, you just do A, B, and C. It's like, dude, I've been doing this for years. No, you don't.
There's no A, B, and C.
I've done A, B, and C 40 times, 40 different ways. There is no like 3-step process to sell some book. And I'm the same. I see the same ads from the same people that are now like selling AI, whereas before they were selling like coaching or they were selling ghostwriting. And you're like, you're just a cunt. Pardon my French. Like, you are just a piece of shit that's jumping on the next thing, selling to unsuspecting people. So I'm glad you shared that. I think it's actually really important. And I think as well, there's actually a real opportunity for people who are honest about that up front and are like, this isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult, and it will always be difficult. But we can help you make it less difficult.
That's it, man. And like, as someone who does coach people, like I have guys that I work with at the moment. I coach them. I help them to build and grow their businesses. Like, and of course, you get the comments in your on your ads that are like, "You're a scammer. You're this, that, and the other." Like
every day.
Yeah. Like, and of course, it's the internet, right? It's a cesspit. But when I'm on calls with people, and if I'm bringing someone on as a coaching client, I'll talk to them properly. I'll do that like sales call, which isn't really a sales call, but I'm like, if they ask like, well, what results can I get? And like, what's the expectation? And it's like, the results will be, you're going to question yourself a lot, and it's going to be tough. Like, hopefully we get somewhere. Like, if we follow the, I was going to say steps, but like if we keep at it and are consistent with things, like, you'll get somewhere. But don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect it to be overnight. You're starting from, well, typically I don't work with people start from zero, but like, you know, you're here and you want to get to here. It's not a 2-minute thing, man. Buckle up.
I like that a lot. And I feel I think actually that helps people self-select. It would get rid of the people who are like, I want it easy, so you don't have to work with them. And those that are like, you just said it's going to be hard. Yep, totally it's going to be hard. It is hard. You're strapped in. Well done. Like, when I started running the ads, I knew, or at least I believed, that it would be 2-3 months before I seen anything. And it wasn't. It was 30 days. And then I was like, holy fucking shit. What is this? It took me a month to like really dial in the offer, because I spoke to so many people and was like, oh, they all want this. Okay, I can do that. I'll build that. Mm-hmm. And then you speak to these people and they're like, client. And then you're like, okay, I've got too many clients and half of them are shit now. How do I get rid of the shit ones? Do you know what I mean? So there's that problem all the time. But like, I knew it was going to be difficult. And I was like, let's just spend the money. Like, we've never done it. Let's see what happens. And I'm looking now for like, how can I spend more money? Because I would rather spend 10 grand a month on ads than spend 10 minutes in somebody's fucking LinkedIn DMs begging them for their attention. So
that's the game, man. That's the game.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, I appreciate your time, appreciate you coming on, appreciate all the answers, especially the last one. I will link probably your Instagram because that's the best place for people to find you and tune into your stuff, mate. But just to thank you for coming on, mate, and we'll schedule the next bigger, more in-depth conversation, mate. So thank you for coming on, dude.
I can't wait for it, man. I've enjoyed it. I always enjoy jumping on and having conversations with you, man, and this has been good. Looking forward to the next one.
Nice one, pal. You take it easy.
You too, boss.